From Daily Trust News Center, this is News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, flood wreaks havoc on 10 communities in Nasarawa while gradually subsiding in Kogi State. Atiku kickstarts presidential campaign in Uyo, promises restructuring. Family of late Kanu little girl demands justice. And on the foreign scene, Russia launches biggest air attack since start of war in Ukraine. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Tonight. I am Eugenia Abu. No fewer than 5 local government areas of Nasarawa State have so far been submerged by flood. Abubakar Abdullahi reports that hundreds have been rendered homeless as a result of the disaster. The report is presented from our studio.
The flood occurred as a result of torrential rain in different parts of the state. Communities most affected are Tunga, Rukubi, Umeisha, Loko, Dedere in Awe, Doma Toto, Nasarawa and Obi local government, Rukubi in Doma and part of Lafia among other local government areas of the state. Some of the victims narrated their ordeal to Trust TV.
Only God can save us from this kind of flood. We have never witnessed it in the manner of our history. It washed away our farm produce and houses worth millions of naira.
The water has exhausted our place, our crops, and so many things. Now there's no food for us, nothing.
Nasarawa State House of Assembly Speaker Ibrahim Balarabi Abdullahi, whose community is one of the affected areas, said the Assembly has passed a resolution calling on government to provide relief materials in order to bring succor to the victims.
State House of Assembly came up with a matter of urgent public importance, calling on the state government to, as a matter of urgency, come to the rescue of our people who are ravaged by floods. And this unfortunate incident did not only happen in Toto local government. It happened in Nasarawa local government, Doma local government, as well as Awe local government.
The speaker, who sympathized with victims, also donated relief materials to the victims in his constituency. On their part, the national and state emergency management agencies attributed the disaster to the release of water from the Lapto Dam without the knowledge of the state. They explained that though government cannot compensate the victims on the damages suffered, they are however willing to cushion the effect on them.
The agency cannot compensate people for traumatic experiences that they have suffered in the aftermath of the disaster. What the federal government does is to help people get back to their feet and restart their lives through relief interventions. May I at this juncture mention that the state should still expect the 2022 flood intervention. The agency is presently preparing the interventions.
In other words, all the village areas along the river Rhine, along this river Benue, have already been submerged. We are in the process of evacuation. We are in the process of trying to look for how to provide succor for those who are affected. That is the position that we are in now. And that is what we have been doing. As a matter of fact, even relief materials have already gotten to some of them.
The Nasarawa flood, according to the Executive Secretary of the Nasarawa State Emergency Management Agency, Zakaria Alumaga, has left 3 people dead. He also said 361,000 people were displaced by the flood in the state, while the federal and state governments have distributed different consumable and non-consumable items to the victims.
Although the floods in Lokoja, Kogi State are gradually subsiding, the condition in the city is still quite dire. There are still large obstacles to vehicular movement and many stores remain shut, while several buildings are still underwater. Trust TV's Chamun Dabeng reports from Lokoja.
Some shops in the area have managed to survive the flood. Owners are counting their losses. For some people, the losses were few, while others weren't so lucky. Many had properties and goods destroyed in the flood, but the main problem now is low or no patronage at all, as many citizens are scared to venture out. This obviously will further slow down economic activity in the state.
I'm currently standing in what used to be a very dry road. Right now the water is just about my shin level, and if you look behind me, the water only gets deeper. As you can see from the building, about half or more than half of the building has been submerged in water. So right now the situation in this area, which is the ultra-modern market area, you can see some stores are now locked up. The owners of these shops are completely unable to access their shops to get their daily bread as they normally would. So although the water is actually drying up, the situation at hand is still quite bad.
And the situation was very worst. Even it crossed the road to this side. I have to move this thing back of this stone so that the water will not affect me. Things got increased. Like rice or yam that they buy before 1,000, they will be able, some will have that fear to even come to the market, whether they will cross the water or they will fall or something might happen to them.
Yeah, you felt that even some customers can able to pass and buy something, and even enter some people's shop, and even spot some load. And we thank God for everything.
Honestly, it has so much affected us in many areas. One, the other shop you are seeing is my second shop. Everything with the fridge, generator, all is filled up with water over there. Even this place too, we have a lot of damages here. My own idea that the Kogi State government should kindly, if there's any means they can work towards this so that it will not occur again, because this thing has caused us a lot of damages.
Last 2012, I lost money. We are come to collect for cooperative to buy load, about 18,000 naira. The one where water knows will spoil it and will remain. This year again, it's about almost 50,000 naira again. And there are some generators where they are called don't enter water. I never know whether those ones have been repaired, they will still work or they not go work again. We beg our governor, Alhaji Yahaya Bello, to help us, because we have family, and without food, without work, we cannot do anything. So make it look into our matter.
The flood in Lokoja has not only come with a lift-off of dirt, but it has also brought much sorrow and distress to the residents of the state. And many of them are calling out to the government to provide some level of succor to their situation and to also take preventative measures to prevent a reoccurrence of this flood. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV, Kogi State.
In a related development, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, and the Disaster Response Unit of the military have commenced an aerial view operation to ascertain persons displaced or trapped by the rising floods in Anambra. Zonal Coordinator, NEMA Southeast, Thickman Tanimu, speaking on Monday in Awka, said that the operation would aid in the airlifting of trapped persons in the affected communities. Tanimu revealed that the Presidency and the Director General of NEMA, Mustafa Ahmed Habib, while commiserating with the state government and flood victims, including the bereaved, approved the relief materials which would be presented directly to flood victims on Tuesday. He said the delay in the arrival of the relief materials is due to the flood disaster that cut off the Abuja-Lokoja road and also the security situation due to the Monday sit-at-home in the southeast. And politics now. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has flagged off its presidential campaign ahead of the 2023 elections. At the flag-off, which took place at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, the PDP national chairman, Yocha Ayu, handed the party's flag to the presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, who promised Nigerians better living conditions through prosperity and unity. The vice presidential candidate of the party, Ifeanyi Okowa, and Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Emmanuel Odom, stressed the party's drive to restructure and reposition the country for the good of all Nigerians.
We have inaugurated our campaign to rescue Nigeria. To rescue Nigeria from hunger, to rescue Nigeria from poverty, and also to bring back the unity that we require in this country. The chair went tested We cannot afford to allow lieutenants leave because they will lead us to doom. So I thank the leadership of the party and all the party members for accepting to present a chair to lead us at this point in time. This is the first time the indices of all waxes are increasing at this rate. But I came here today to promise Nigerians that as we follow the trend, as we take off, the faculty seatbelt that we are ready. We promise Nigerians that as we follow this campaign today, we plan on hope. We plan on mission to restore.
In the meantime, the Niger State chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Barrister Tanko Beji, collapsed at Ahmadu Bahago Secondary School roundabout after walking for over 5 kilometers during a march organized on Monday to support the presidential and gubernatorial candidates of the party, Abubakar Atiku and Isa Liman Kantigi. The chairman was getting ready to address the party supporters when he slumped, after which he was immediately taken to an unknown location by party supporters. The PDP supporters in the state who participated in the 5-kilometer walk from the Mina City Gate to Ahmadu Bahago Secondary School roundabout said that the march was earlier planned from City Gate to Obasanjo Commercial Center's roundabout over a distance of about 3 kilometers. Addressing the crowd after the incident, the running mate to the gubernatorial candidate of the PDP in the state, Samuel Gomna, said the march was organized to ensure that youths who participated in the 2023 elections would vote PDP candidates at all levels.
What you have witnessed today is for the youth to come out and pledge their support to PDP and yearn for change in Niger State. Because there has been a total collapse of the institution, not only in Niger State, but in Nigeria at large. By the special grace of God, PDP will make it again. Will make Nigeria work again. PDP will make Niger State work again. We are giving hope to every top of this state that by the special grace of God, we shall make sure that the older infrastructure are put in place. I have just given the youth a promise that when PDP started, by paying NECO and SSCE fees, we shall remove that law from the parents.
And back to stories of flood. No fewer than 5 local government areas of Nasarawa State have so far been submerged by flood. Trust TV's Abubakar Abdullahi reports that hundreds have been rendered homeless as a result of the disaster. The report is presented from our studio. We cannot bring you that story at this time. We go now to Plateau State, where former Plateau State Governor Joshua Darie has said his conviction on corruption charges filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, was politically motivated. He stated this during an interview on Channel Television's Newsnight, a pre-recorded show which airs every Monday. He said his case was political in the sense that the same charge was taken to Kaduna High Court, where Justice Liman dismissed the case. During the interview, Darie gave a breakdown of the amount he was accused of, saying 800 million naira went into the Plateau State account, 100 million naira was disbursed to the People's Democratic Party, PDP Southwest, 100 million naira went to the campaign organization of ex-President Olusegun Obasanjo, among others. On the exact money missing, the ex-governor put the figure at just 4 million naira, describing the sum as the commission on turnover. According to the former Plateau State governor, he would have laundered the money in commission and turnover if he wanted to steal. The Oyo State government has deployed a security team to Ipakpo Ishenyi axis in the Oyo North Senatorial District to rescue some farmers. Gunmen had stormed the farm settlement on Saturday, whisking away 4 farmers in the Ipakpo Ishenyi axis. A day after the incident, the state government appealed to the people of Ipakpo to be calm, saying efforts are being made to address the issue. In a statement, the Commissioner for Agriculture and Natural Resources, Adeni Adebisi, said a security team comprising police and the military has been dispatched to support the existing security architecture in the area. He stated that although the incident happened outside the state farm settlement, Ipakpo Ishenyi, The Oyo State government prioritizes the protection of the life and property of every resident of the state, farmers inclusive. He assured Oyo residents that the state government is collaborating with security agencies to rescue the abductees within the shortest possible time to prevent the reoccurrence of the sad event. Suspected hoodlums have attacked the council headquarters of Eza North local government area of Ebonyi State, setting some materials for next year's election ablaze. The spokesman of Ebonyi State Police Command, Chris Anyanwu, confirmed the attack in a telephone chat on Monday in Abakaliki. The newly sworn-in chairman of the council, Ogodale Nome, also said the hoodlums, in their numbers, set ablaze a store housing some electoral materials just a few months ahead of the forthcoming polls. Other reports say the hoodlums forced their way into some of the offices where vital documents were kept, carting some away and setting the remaining items ablaze. In the meantime, Superintendent Anyanwu says the police in the state have launched an investigation into the matter. Residents of Faskari, Sabua and Dandume local governments say abductions, rustling of animals and armed banditry are on the rise. According to locals, terrorists blocked Fontua Dandume Road in broad daylight on Sunday and abducted no fewer than 15 persons, including women and children. Similarly, the terrorists attacked Laindentagari village in Dandume local government, kidnapping 4 people and rustling an unspecified number of domestic animals. The terrorists also attacked Sayao village in Sabua local government area, killing 1 person and abducting several others. In a telephone chat with Abdullahi Yamadi on Monday, residents of Faskari said hardly a day passes without abductions and the killing of innocent people on Sheme Yankara Faskari Road, despite efforts by governments and security operatives to tackle the menace. Families of the 4-year-old Khadija Adamu, who was allegedly raped and who later died from her injuries, are demanding for a thorough investigation into the incident. The 35-year-old suspect, Idris Isa, has since been arrested by the Kano State Command of the Nigeria Police Force. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin visited the family in the Brigade area of Kano Metropolis and has this report.
Ina son hukuma ta bi mana hakinmu kamar yadda ya zuban mana da jinin yarinya kuma tuni ma ina so a bi min hakina.
Jamila Adamu and her relatives are mourning the death of her young daughter, who was said to have died of a heart attack after being raped by a 35-year-old neighbor.
Da ta shigo take cewa za ta yi fitsari, tana tsugunnawa sai ta ga jini. Daga haka da kawai da naga jini ta tashi, ban taba ta ba.
I want government to ensure justice for me, as he spilled my daughter's blood and eventually died. I also want justice. She entered the house and told me she wants to urinate. Then blood started coming out. I didn't touch her, but I asked, who is touching you? And who do you use to go and see? She told me, Baba Idi. I therefore told her father, who later said we should go to the hospital to find out what happened. The hospital told us to come with police, and Kwano Hudu Police Division attached us with 2 policemen.
Emotionally disturbed, Khadija's grandmother is asking for justice, and the victim's uncle, Barrister Biliamina Abubakar, is not relenting to achieving it.
As a professional lawyer, I hope and I determined to see the end of this matter. I will make sure that he reap what he saw. No, we will never leave it out, even if it is on someone. But this is someone I am related to, so there is no we will leave it out.
Meanwhile, police spokesman in Kano, SP Abdullahi Kiyawa, is confirming the arrest of one Idris Isa, suspected to have raped Khadija.
The Commissioner of Police, Kano State Command, CP Abubakar Lawal, FDC, ordered that case has been transferred to the Command's Criminal Investigations Department, that is the state CID here in Bonfai, for discreet investigation. While the investigation was ongoing, unfortunately, the victim, the 4-year-old victim again, falls sick and unconscious. She was again rushed to the same Murtala Muhammad Specialist Hospital here in Kano State, where a medical doctor examined and certified her death On our preliminary investigation, a case of prima facie of suspected rape has been established.
Little Khadija is gone, but for her mother and these family members, the circumstances leading to her death will never be forgotten. Only justice can relieve their worries. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
A truly sad story there. You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, new harvest season expectations. Do stay with us.
That's great.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is News Hour on Trust TV. A recap of our top stories. Flood wreaks havoc on 10 communities in Nasarawa while gradually subsiding in Kogi State. And Atiku Abubakar kickstarts presidential campaign in Uyo, promises restructuring. Moving to other news now, as Muslim faithful celebrate Mawlud, the birth of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, the chief imam of a mosque in Agege, Lagos, has urged politicians to ensure they deliver on their promises. The chief imam also urged Muslim Ummah to use the occasion for deep reflection on the virtuous life of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the messages of peace, love, tolerance, humility, fairness and justice which he preached in words and his deeds. Abbas Ibrahim Dalibi now reports.
"12 days of the month of Rabiul Awwal, the third month of the Islamic calendar, is the day Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was born. Hence, Muslims faithful celebrate this special day in the month yearly. In Lagos, Maulid is celebrated by conducting special lectures and prayers, as well as Holy Quran recitation organized by different Islamic groups and schools. According to the chief imam, this year's Maulid celebration is coming amid political campaigns, and politicians will use the opportunity to market themselves. Hence, urge Islamic clerics to use the opportunity to draw the attention of politicians to serve their society and to keep the promises they made to the people. Clerics should stop accepting gratifications from politicians. Rather, they should ask them to serve their society by providing basic amenities and create job opportunities to the teeming youth. The cleric admonished Muslims Ummah to focus on the virtues of the Prophet Muhammad at all times by extending helping hand to the needy, practicing fairness and justice. He said, imbibing these virtues, the celebration of his birth will have meaning. Abbas Ibrahim Alibi, Trust TV, Lagos.
And now to education, the most vexed issue, the ASU strike. The president of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, Emmanuel Osodeke, says the union is optimistic of an end to its strike soon. He said this on Monday at a meeting with the leadership of the House of Representatives. Also present at the meeting was Femi Gbajabiamila, Speaker of the House of Representatives. Osodeke, who appealed to all stakeholders to work towards an amicable resolution in the nearest future, thanked the House for the intervention and urged the federal government to do all within its power to avoid a similar situation in the future. And on to health matters. The National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has warned healthcare providers and the public against the use of 4 substandard and contaminated cough syrups, which have caused the death of 66 children in the Gambia. In a public health advisory issued by NAFDAC on Sunday, it stated that it never registered the medicines, therefore it should not be in circulation in the country. They include promethazine oral solution, Cofexmalin baby cough syrup, Macof baby cough syrup, and Magrip cold syrup. It disclosed that the dangerous pediatric cough syrups were being circulated in the Gambia. NAFDAC said laboratory analysis of samples of the 4 products confirmed that they contain unacceptable amounts of diethylene glycol and ethylene glycol as contaminants, which are toxic to humans when consumed and can prove fatal. The gallery of Kogi State House of Assembly was gutted by fire in the early hours of Monday. Director of the Kogi State Fire Service, Salawu Zigi, said the fire did not extend beyond the chamber and gallery of the assembly complex. The cause of the inferno had not been ascertained at the time of filing this report. However, Speaker of the Assembly, Prince Matthew Kolawole, blamed the incident on sabotage and said security agencies would investigate the incident. The fire burnt the roof of the hallowed chamber of the complex, causing extensive damage to the floor of the house. About 58 illegal oil points have been discovered so far since the operation to end oil theft on the waterways of Delta and Bayelsa states began. Ex-militant leader Government Ekpemupolo, also known as Tompolo, said this in a press briefing at Okporosa on Sunday, where he also gave an update on the recent discovery of a 4-kilometer illegal crude oil pipeline in the Forcados area of Delta State. According to him, with this breakthrough, stakeholders in the region are optimistic that the war against crude oil theft will be won. Tompolo also commended the effort of the military and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited for collaborating with him on the operation, promising to do everything possible to bring the menace to a halt. Many Nigerians are ignorant of how tax remitted into government coffers are used. Adamu Imam samples the views of some market people in Bauchi on benefits they derive from paying tax. Here's that report.
The Federal Inland Revenue has continued to argue that Nigeria's tax penetration is still very low. Many taxpayers in the informal sector cannot argue with this because they may not even be aware that the levies they pay are designated as tax.
Look for a better task force that can do that for them.
You can see some signboard and billboard there showing that if you pay the tax, it pays. So that's the only thing that I can't even see any project that is being done with any tax that they are collecting. Absolutely. But if they say they are doing it, we need to know or we need to see any sign.
Local government should come and collect. Some instead she comes and collect. But we will not see the thing that do with the money for the tax.
To make matters worse, these players in the informal sector of the economy says that there is no evidence that the monies collected from them is utilized for their benefit. Year in, year out, we keep on paying tax, although the amount we pay is not much. They, however, come and collect it from us. The sad part is that we don't know where and how the government spends this kind of money. But certainly, we pay tax. They normally come after 3 months to collect from the local government, but up till now, we don't know where or how the money is being utilized. On the other hand, but do players in the informal sector pay tax? The question can be answered from two angles. Experts say they usually pay and insist that what is collected is usually utilized for what it's meant for.
Payment of tax is a statutory obligation to all the citizens. You know, as a matter of fact, government is saddled with a responsibility of providing infrastructure development, security of life and property, provision of quality road, healthcare facility, waterborne, and so on. And so there are so many to mention. So those infrastructure is being used taxpayer money to provide this quality, these services. So whoever is paying tax, you know that what is paying, that is what the government is using to provide certain services. Not that notice is coming, but you cannot say direct benefit for paying tax because those services is being provided by the taxpayer money, so to say.
On the flip side, it could also be argued that at the state and local government level, those in the informal sector are often seen as not paying tax because value-added tax is often remitted to the federal government. However, the market people and artisans urge that government to be more open about taxation so as to avoid any ambiguity for the benefit of all. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
And now to agriculture. As the new harvest of farm produce begins, farmers in Jingir town of Basa local government area of Plateau State have expressed worry over the falling price of grains in the market. The farmers say if the price of grains fails to appreciate, they will sell at a loss. Ado Musa completes that report.
These are farmers conveying their grains from various villages to Jingir town, where the market is located. But the cost of fertilizer during this year's farming is what is dashing the hopes of the farmers, as the prices of grains continue to fall. According to the farmers, during this year's farming season, they bought fertilizer between the rate of 25 to 30,000 naira. They lamented that despite the increase in the price of fertilizer, a bag of maize in the market is presently selling between 13 to 14,000 naira, saying such price was not profitable. Abubakar Bako is one of the oldest farmers in Amo Mekatako village in the area, said this year farmers will sell their crops at loss due to the cost of the fertilizer if the price continues to go down. At the moment, if the price of the maize, for example, continues like the way it is in the market, farmers will continue to sell at a loss. Before now, if the fertilizer was costly, we bought a bag at 10,000 naira, but this year it sold between 20 to 30,000 naira per bag. Corroborating the cry of the farmers, one of the dealers in the Jingir market, Abubakar Jingir, said if the price of the grains, especially maize, is not increased, the farmers might be discouraged to cultivate next year because they won't get profit compared to the resources they have invested. Honestly, there is a problem. It is when farmers cultivate that we are able to buy the grain from them. But the issue of fertilizer this year has been a source of concern. It is their biggest challenge because it has been very expensive, and until government does something, everybody will continue to suffer. The farmers, however, said if the prices of the grains continue to decline in the market, many of them will not cultivate their farms next season due to the high cost of fertilizer. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. We will be back after the break. Stay with us.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
That's good.
Thank you for rejoining us on NewsHour on Trust TV. The All Progressive Congress, APC, in Nasarawa State has suspended the state youth leader, Abdullahi Masi. APC Chairman Chiroma Ward Mohammed Ramalan announced the suspension during a press briefing in Lafia. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in this report, here presented in our studio.
The chairman, Chiroma Ward, said the youth leader has been suspended. The youth leader was alleged to have called a party meeting and connived with some members of the new Nigerian People's Party NNPP to flout the rules and regulations of the party through thuggery that disrupted the peaceful coexistence in the state. He also alleged that the youth leader conspired with others to carry arms and other dangerous weapons, going around committing atrocities in the state. Disturbing the peace, the APC Ward Chairman explained that the actions of youth leader contravene Article 21, subsection A of the party constitution as amended. This EXCO has sat down and looked at what the state APC youth leader has done. He is one of us, and if we have suspended him from the party from today, being 9th of October, under Article 1A1 to 9 of the APC Constitution as amended.
Under APC Constitution.
He also said disciplinary committee will be set up to investigate the matter for possible sanction or otherwise reacting to his suspension. Nasarawa State APC youth leader Abdullahi Masi said he was not aware of the suspension. Even if it will happen, he did not follow the due process.
To my knowledge, I just heard him from you now that I was suspended for the distance, and you should know that they should not act as an ignorance of the law of the party. The party has the constitutions. You understand it? That we must follow the due process. They must set it. What they got set? They must set a committee to interact with me, to hear from me before whatever. Did they do that? They didn't do that. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't know what they're doing.
He said he remains the youth leader of APC in Nasarawa State as far as the party is concerned and called on members to disregard his purported suspension.
And from party politics, we go to capacity building. The Daily Trust Foundation, in collaboration with MacArthur Foundation, has organized a 3-day media management and entrepreneurship workshop for senior editorial staff. The training is aimed at exposing the media executives to a variety of approaches in the field aimed at improving efficiency, build capacity, and grow their organizations. Here's a report as packaged by Trust TV.
Speaking at the opening ceremony of the training in Abuja, Chairman Daily Trust Foundation Alhaji Bilia Bala said the program is aimed at meeting media needs, especially in the digital age.
We have carefully selected you. We've had hundreds of people that we at first shortlisted, and we had to keep on weeding, so that we come up with a list that we believe will benefit more on this training.
According to Bala, the training is to expose media executives to the kinds of knowledge they must have to effectively fashion the way forward for their organizations.
Most of the technical reporters are land editors. However, this training started to is also for senior journalists, like I said earlier, who we hope will be heading their organizations and make a success out of it.
Among the dignitaries present was the director of the Nigeria office of the MacArthur Foundation, who harped on the need for media practitioners to be actively involved in investigating and exposing acts of corruption in the country.
The focus of our program is to help Nigeria reduce corruption. So we reasoned that it is important for the media to be actively involved in the investigating of corruption cases, exposing of corruption, and putting the information out there.
Participants also shared their expectations.
Well, it's coming at the right time, if you ask me. And I say this because there's been a whole lot of happenings around, not just in the country, but around the world. We're talking about global economic meltdown. And when you look at media management and entrepreneurship, we're looking at a situation whereby, as media practitioners, we need to know the nitty-gritty of patriotism in our practice as information managers, knowing that we have a country to protect.
Others present at the occasion are Chairman Media Trust Group, Malam Kabiru Yusuf, Vice Chancellor Federal University Kashire Gombe, Professor Usman Pate, CEO Almac Media, Aliyu Akoshile, Director Media Trust Group, Malam Manir Dan Ali, among others.
President Muhammadu Buhari was in Chad on Monday to attend the inauguration of General Mahamat Idris Deby Itno as the head of the transition government and head of state to oversee the country's transition process. The Nigerian president, who is the current chairman of the Lake Chad Basin countries, held a bilateral meeting with the Chadian leader where he congratulated him for earning the trust of majority of his people to head the transition process to full fruition. The president equally congratulated the participants of the just concluded inclusive national dialogue for the patriotism they demonstrated in reclaiming their country from the path of instability. At the ceremony, the head of the transition government thanked President Buhari for the warmth and friendliness he had demonstrated towards the country and sub-region, especially in ensuring peace and stability. He promised to put in place a transition process that would reflect the will of the people while focusing on ameliorating poverty through provision of quality education, better health facilities, and sustainable infrastructure.
He's promised to deliver on time elections to the country. Then, of course, he's also promised a lot of economic, benefits. Infrastructure was one area he talked at length about. Agriculture was another one, and also to bring the Chadians together. And he talked about a new Chad that they want to see. And he talked about also the mineral wealth of the country, that is a rich country, and that the importance of exploiting the wealth of that country together for the benefit of the country.
President Muhammadu Buhari wants to send a very important, a very powerful message to the international community that peace, security, and stability in Chad are important, not only to Chad as a country, but to all of us, their neighbors, and the membership of the Lake Chad Basin countries. Without peace in Chad, there will be no peace in Nigeria, there will be no peace in the sub-region. And two, also, to indicate support of his administration and of the people and the government of Nigeria to the roadmap that the Chadians themselves have put together, that they wish to implement, that would hopefully lead to a transition to a democratic rule after all of these years of military dictatorship.
And still staying with the foreign scene, Russia rained cruise missiles on busy Ukrainian cities, knocking out power and heat in its most widespread air attacks since the start of the war. Missiles tore into busy intersections, parks and tourist sites in the center of the capital, Kyiv, on Monday. Ukrainian officials said at least 11 people were killed and scores injured, with swaths of the country left without power. Thousands of residents raced to bomb shelters as air raid sirens rang out throughout the day. President Vladimir Putin said he had ordered massive long-range strikes after an attack on the bridge linking Russia to the annexed Crimean Peninsula over the weekend, and threatened more strikes in future if Ukraine hits Russian territory. In the meantime, North Korea has said its recent barrage of missile launches were tactical nuclear drills personally overseen by leader Kim Jong-un and a response to joint United States-South Korea naval exercises. North Korea carried out its 7th launch in 2 weeks when it fired 2 ballistic missiles early on Sunday morning. The exercise, guided by Kim Jong-un, involved ballistic missiles with mock nuclear warheads and were led by tactical nuclear operation units. The various simulated tests targeted military command facilities, striking main ports and airports in the south. This is a news hour on Trust TV. We take a break now. We'll return with more stories. Stay with us.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. We go to sports now. Brighton midfielder Enoch Nwekwu has been forced to retire from football at the age of 24 because of a hereditary heart condition. The Premier League club said Nwekwu would be at an extremely high risk of suffering a potentially fatal cardiac event if he continued playing. Nwekwu had recently fallen ill on a trip with the Zambia national team to Mali. He was unable to train after arriving in West Africa last month and spent 4 days in hospital. Nwekwu had tests on his return to England, and Brighton said the results meant that the only option was for him to retire. Nwekwu said he was retiring with sadness, adding he had lived his dream by reaching the Premier League, but that some dreams do come to an end. Time now to join Adeni Ajishafe for more reports on sports.
Kada B Soccer Club has emerged champion of Nigerian B Soccer League Super 4 after defeating Smart City B Soccer Club 7-6 in their third match. Kada B Soccer Club, who were runners-up last season, came up into Super 4 looking hungry to win as they started their campaign, walloping Badagry Warriors 15-4 before taking a revenge of last year's loss to Kebbi, winning 6-4. In the second match, Kebbi Fishers defeated Badagry B-Soccer Club by 7-3 goals to emerge second runners-up of the league with 6 points, having won 2 matches, losing 1. Nigeria B-Soccer All-Star defeated Kebbi All-Stars by 4 goals to 0, with the president of African B-Soccer Union and national coordinator Mahmoud Adejia scoring the opening goal of the game, while Nasiru Alwa scored a brace as Bashir Sumaila scored his 4th for Nigerian B-Soccer All-Stars. Kada B-Soccer Club star player Dozier Frank went home with the higher goal scorer award and the most valuable player, while the best goalkeeper of the tournament went to Uche Boniface of Kada B-Soccer Club. National coordinator Nigeria B-Soccer League Mahmoud Adejia commended the participating teams and knocked them to up their game in subsequent outings.
I must give kudos to, first of all, the Nigeria Beach Soccer Association leadership for this tremendous effort and commitment after all the challenges for us to be able to make this happen. I think they deserve commendations, and all the officials of the Nigeria Beach Soccer League.
Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Youth and Sport Development, Kebbi State, Shuaibu Alero, commended the successful hosting of Nigeria Beach Soccer League Super 4 and called for sponsorship support to partner the league.
It's not all that popular like football, but as it is gaining momentum, I believe the sponsors are getting ready to sponsor them and give them whatever prize they want to give.
Smart City and Badagry Beach Soccer Club came 3rd and 4th respectively. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajijafe.
Thank you, Adeni. And on a sad note, member representing Bakori local government area in Katsina State House of Assembly, Ibrahim Aminu Kurami, has died in Saudi Arabia. The lawmaker had gone to Saudi to perform Umrah. According to a family source, he died after a brief illness in Medina at around 2 a.m. Nigerian time. Kurami was elected into Katsina State House of Assembly in a by-election conducted on October the 31st, 2020, following the death of his predecessor, Honorable Abdulrazak Ismail Ziga. A crowd of sympathizers was seen at the family's residence in Kurami on Monday morning. He left behind 2 wives, 11 children, and 3 grandchildren. And with that, we have come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. You can follow us across all our social media platforms. Well, we wish you happy Maulud. We hope you had a good holiday and a good celebration. I am Eugenia Abu. We thank you for watching.